Hello everyone, so thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel. Remember, it's Radio Rewind. Just to get you started, today is going to be one of those sort of interviews that the guest is gets to interview himself and gets to answer questions about himself, and the audience will just wait and watch. So quite a crazy idea to start Radio Rewind. It's been in my mind for a long time, and I felt like this is the content that I need to create. This is the content that needs to be had. A lot of people coming up with their own channels discussing a lot of kind of issues, but I felt like, why don't I start something that has been bugging my mind for a while now. I felt like Radio Rewind is a big deal for me, especially during this time of the pandemic that we were all stuck at our houses. Some of us were working from home, some of us were maybe commuting, going to work, putting on the masks, and getting washing our hands, keeping social distance. So 2020, 2021 has been a really crazy year for all of us, and it's been a great journey for me. I think I saw my highs in 2020 up to 2021. So I feel like this is now a new journey for me, getting into using my talent in communication just to get messages out, interacting with people, with visitors, with friends, with personalities, getting to hear their story from a perspective of a radio. You know, when you put on a radio, I think there's some sounds of airplane passing around. So yeah, there's this pristine moment in your life that you're shooting something, and there's this birds and aeroplanes, the FYs, zooming across and you can say stop, cut, because it's you doing your sort of interview. So yeah, the pandemic, we've lost lives. The vaccines are there. We have Pfizer, we have AstraZeneca, there's a Sputnik from the Russian, there's Johnson and Johnson, and there's some from the Chinese labs. People getting injected, so getting vaccinated. So if you haven't gotten a job, so I think this is the right moment for you to go and get a job and be safe for all of us and this generation. So I think that too is very important. So let's start it off. Do we start it off? Yeah, we started off. I'm here alone doing my own interview. Actually, when you go to YouTube and you have to search my channel, Radio Rewind, then the title that down there will be my first interview. I did it myself, you know. Yeah, so where was I born and raised? I mean, let's let's rewind it a little bit. I was born in Nairobi. That is Kenyatta National Hospital, the accident and emergency unit. So this is the story. My mother was pregnant, and I think the vehicle they were in, they got an accident on Thika Road. This is the story I'm told, so you guys just have to listen. The section of the comment section ask a lot of questions, and I'll be there to respond to them. One day I get to interview my mother, but that will be in a long while until we do more shows and we have things settled down with COVID, I guess. So having born in Kenyatta, then I was raised in Ruiru, that is in, I said it's part of central Kenya, in Kiambu. That is where I grew up. It's from early 90s up to 96. I have a bit of a recollection of how I grew of that kind of life, because My dad is a prison officer. My mother was a tailor, now retired. I don't know why she stopped sewing clothes, but that's a story for another day. A very critical story for another day. So my dad is a prison officer. We growing up in Ruiru. Most of the recollection of Radio Rewind that I remember is him going for parades, you know, those like Madaraka Day, Moi Day, um, Jamhuri Day, Labor Day. You see, those are some of the very important events. When you're growing up as a kid, those are very important events. You cannot miss at any particular moment to forget that day. You have further recollections of me being carried by my uncle. I don't know how old I was, but I have a lot of memories when I was 2 years, 3 years old with it in my mind. I remember this day, my elder brother and our second born, it was raining so much in Ruiru. We were staying in an apartment somewhere, and there are these termites. Yeah, there were so many, and they took them and fried them. I don't remember if I ate them at all. That part I don't actually remember, but I know they cooked termites. It must have been I don't know, 93, 94, but I have that recollection. I also have a recollection of there was some sort of a signpost. It was just outside the compound, and it had the name. The signpost had a name on it, some sort of Harambe. So that is a recollection that I have from. That is between less than 3, 2 years old that I was. So then a story pops up. Why do I keep my hair long? Sometimes it's to remind myself, man, of the trauma that I had with going to the barber shop. So the apartment was like that. It was some sort of an L shape, and then there was this guy who used to shave, and the one thing that scared me to hell was that noise. It was so I was imagining. I'm trying to compare this to a matatu ride now when it's on the highway and it's on full gear and it's I don't know, it's crazy. So I was trying to imagine that sound, all the FY planes, the jet fighter planes, all of them landing on my head all of a sudden. And I was like, no, to me, I'm not gonna be shaved like that. So I think what they resorted to doing was shaving me with what they call, do you know scissors? I think they used to shave me with scissors. So that was one thing that was constant, being shaved with scissors, because I was really scared of the barber shop. I was really scared of the barber. And these barber shop stories are stories we're gonna have a great conversation about, because ideas keep coming, and I just realized another plane is passing. Shh. So you can imagine that plane on my head with all that kind of noise, trying to trim my hair. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. So that's it. So that is also a recollection that I have. That is from when I was born and raised. So after Ruiru, we went to this great part of the land. You all guys want to guess? It's Kisii. We went to Kisii. So I think 1996, my father got a transfer to Kisii. I think we arrived in Kisii. It might have been so very early in the morning or late in the evening. So that was 1996. Could have been probably 6 or 5 years old. I don't know, but that is the time he arrived in. We arrived in 1996. But I think when we arrived, all our things were put in mkokoteni. I don't know. I think my brothers are there. They're going to watch this video and they're going to comment. And I think this is limited to my brother Sam and my brother Ken. Paul. Wait. This is limited to my brother Sam and Ken. The others, please, guys, relax. So that is 1996. So moving from Ruiru to Kisii, there are a lot of things, you know. I'm still young. My mind hasn't opened up to a lot of things. So now we're in Kisii, now trying to gel again. I wasn't trying to gel, you see, I'm still a child. There's nothing to gel. You just meet a kid, say hi, and then you start laughing and doing all that sort of thing. So I'm rewinding, let's rewind to Kisii now. So I have a recollection of 1998, the bomb blast. Those are a couple of years after we arrive. Yeah, I think when the bomb blast, August 17th again, is such a sad day in the history of our country, and I want to really honor the souls of those who left us during that sad moment when the American embassy was bombed in Nairobi. I have such a great connection with nature, and I felt like there was something that was really wrong that had happened. Because for me, I was in Kisii, but it was such a dark day for me. It felt so dark. We didn't get to hear much news on the radio. But it was such a dark day. I think when it just poof, and for me, the sky just sent a message that something bad had really happened. So growing up in Kisii was great. I got to learn Ekegusi really nicely. I speak near perfect Ekegusi. The sort of wakire, muyore, nakyogoganderera, say nonkai. So I love Kisii to a great extent that Kisii has been, I can say I grew up in Kisii. I was born in Nairobi, raised in Ruiru, but I can say I was raised most of my life, getting to know, understand life, and be who I am right now was in Kisii. So I went to Nyambera Primary School. I did my my KCP there. Kisii. The story about Kisii is something that we're going to revisit with a lot of my friends in case they want to talk it out on Radio Rewind. So I have a couple of friends that I still remember from primary, as Richard, there's Walter, there's Philip, there's Duncan, a lot of friends, over 75 students. Though I can say I remember most of their faces. Though at some point in class 6, I lost a good friend, deskmate, Damaris, and that was really a low moment for me, And like this moment around July, August. It's those moments that I have recollection of the friends that I lost, and I feel so tearful, I feel so emotional, because these are people who would have made great change in this country, and I always take a moment for them to remember how such good friends they were during my life. So yeah, so that was Kisii. Then I went to, yeah, so my father got another transfer. But we're going to talk about Kisii so much because Kisii is like part of me is Kisii, because you see, I got to learn a lot about the Kisii culture. I got to visit great places within Kisii, from Manga Hill to Kerore, to the airstrip, to Suneka, to Nyanchwa, to Kyungongi, you know. Literally know the Kisii town inside and outside. So there isn't much about Kisii. There's much about Kisii that I know that can't escape my mind. To the clubs, the Bucket Club in Kisii. Though I didn't ever go to Bucket Club because I was still under 18. Though I remember going to look for my brother. He used to escape and go to clubs. So I remember that. But yes, to the churches that I went, Deliverance Church, Catholic Church, I mean, such good churches that nurtured me when I was in Kisii. But I think at some point I was more aligning to the Muslim faith, though not for a long time. I mean, I was that sort of guy who was trying to find out about religion and spirituality at a very young age. So I went to most of these churches and got to understand the theology about it, the teachings, the the narrations about the Bible, and that sort of thing. So Kisii built me, and I had great teachers, Madam Machuki, Madam Mrs. Matoke, Mr. Charles, who I consider as my dad, because he raised me at school as his son. I don't know what he saw in me, but for a long time he raised me as his son, and I really feel like that was a great moment, just to have your father at home and a dad at school. Because folks would come and ask me, is this your father? Is that your dad? Because for them, he was so approachable to me. He was so open to me. I would go and ask. Even when we were doing those harambes, I would go and ask for a coin, and he would give me from his pocket. So Mr. Charles was a great part of my life, and I have tried to understand all this, but it's that unique ability in you. Maybe it's the leadership, maybe it's the communication, or maybe how you organize your stuff. It's how people get it easy to relate to you. So I consider Mr. Charles Uboch as my dad, and I hold so much respect to the English that I'm speaking right now, because at class 6, at class 5, at class lower years, I wasn't good in English at all. But when he started teaching us in the upper classes, from class 6, 7, 8, especially 7, 8, I caught up so quickly. With time, English became my best subject. And there was this kind of competition about English, because it was out of 50. So guys were competing to get 40, so that in composition you get maybe 28 or 30, so that you have a good mark. So there was really a good competition in our school, and I think I got to learn English. We didn't speak much English in primary because folks were used to Kiswahili or speaking Ekegusi. But then the sad part is I didn't speak much Kisii when Ekegusi when I was in Nyambera. I got to speak it somewhere else. So my father got a transfer to Siaya. So here we are from Kisii. This is me used to watching news or listening to the radio. So my best programs on radio was Rick D's on the weekly top 40. Weekly top 40s. It was on Capital FM. Such a great show. Such a great show. A lineup of great artists playing on Rick D's. The weekly's top 40s on Capital FM on Sunday. Who would have missed that program? It was pure music. We had a radio, my dad had a radio, and that was accessible to everyone, but you don't destroy it. So I had that moment on Sunday when I think I was the only one who was around to cook and to wash stuff. So I got to listen to Rick D's on the weekly top 40s. I also got to listen to Roga Roga na Fred Obachi Machuka mwenyewe. Remember, there I'm barely past 15, so listening to radio was a big deal for me. There are other shows on radio you would listen to. Jumbo, was Jumbo Kenya there at that moment? Jumbo Kenya on Citizen. I don't know. I can't tell. But all I remember was Roga Roga by Uncle Fredo Bachi Machuka. That's the thing with copying people's voices. You get lost once in a while. So we went to Siaya. I went to high school, Siaya Township Secondary School. I then joined. Siaya was a big deal. Siaya is a big deal. I have to go personally to Siaya to recollect for you all those stories. So it's stories of a generation that I'm gonna bring, but this is now my kind of story. So Siaya was good. Completed, didn't complete. I want to now. My dad got another transfer. My dad got another transfer to Kericho. I'm shooting this clip and it feels like it's gonna rain. So maybe in the next 5 minutes I should be done with this. My first interview. that would be really fast. So let's rewind to Kericho. I went to Kericho Day Secondary School. That is just a few kilometers from the CBD of Kericho. Kericho is a good place. Again, so many memories about Kericho that I would want to share with friends. We just have a sit down with friends and get to recollect those memories. But Kericho is where I launched my theater journey. I got to act in Kericho. I got to do I got to be a tailor for a moment in Kericho. I got to visit the tea lands, and I think my first job from high school was slashing in the tea bushes. You see, there's this moment that they have. I think the lights just went out, so this is the part of where we complete. I didn't want to complete this year, but there's still so much light coming in, so I'll still go on with the recording. This is the problem with electricity nowadays. You kind of get lost, and then you trying to see what you're about to do. That's it. So Kericho is where I got my first job, slashing the tea bushes, and I think we worked for around 2 weeks, and I was paid like, was it 200? Was it 250 shillings, I guess. My friend Musioki should be a witness here, and I think after that we just went to a cafe somewhere, ate a good amount of that 250 shillings, and I was done. So I think I went back to my mom. I think by the time I was finishing class 8, I knew how to to work on the machine. So I went back to sewing, I went back to tailoring. So I was making some clothes, I was repairing clothes, and I could get my 50, my 20, or maybe on Thursday after I have a good delivery of what I'm supposed to sew, I could get a good amount. So that was my sort of life in Kericho. Not really bad, I can say. After Kericho, I had a stint in campus multimedia. I had a stint. Let me say I had a stint. Studied IT. Then I think there's a part of me that really hustled after high school and really volunteered after high school, and there was a part of me that was really going through a lot of depression that I never knew for a long time. So I think my mental health at some point for like 4 years was dead. It's it's going to rain. It's going to rain. It's going to be crazy this time. So for like 4 years or 5, my mental health was dead. Even if I could get pictures of me from those like, I wish I would have met you earlier than me. You'd be surprised what the hell was happening to me. But I feel like for a period of 5 years, my mental health had collapsed. I was just doing things to get by. I wasn't in good communication with my family. I wanted to be alone most of the time. I would do jobs and not really spend so much time on them, or maybe try to grow. You know, people get into companies and jobs and they would want to grow. I wouldn't. I was actually there not even for the money, because I just wanted to get the money and maybe buy shoes, buy a Kabambe phone, just to make sure that I'm online, you know. Yeah, so my 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 that would be anyone's lowest moment, to go through a certain phase of your life and it's depression and you don't really know much about it. But I got good family who put me on that path to recovery. I think there was a point in life where I came back. I had gone to Kericho, flew, and I came back to Nairobi, and I decided that I'm really going to be part of my own change. I'm just gonna start life from scratch, because I just came with a few bags, with just one bag. Sorry for that. So I just came back with one bag, and I just wanted to start life. Remember, I think there was a moment I'd gone to Mombasa and to do some campaign, and I was really armed with my tools. Had this great idea for one of the contenders for the governor seat, but things just paragacha, and then I felt like I don't need to do it. So I came back to Nairobi. I think I'd lost a cousin. Then I went back to Kericho. Then I would go to the village and just ask myself, what the hell is happening? This whole period, I can't figure out my life. Then I think I came back to Nairobi, then started life slowly. I got a job at my aunt is a good friend. Worked for a while, then I decided to re-strategize about family, about about growing now, growing up, and then the responsibilities, the things you've got to do to the village. So I moved, got another job, worked for a while, and then the contract ended. I was so disappointed. I had left a good job. I was getting good amount, not a good amount, but just enough for me, There's always a amount that is enough for you after you've gone through all that kind of shit. So it was enough for me. And then I'm going to this job that it has contracts, and then the contract ends, and I'm like, why did I? So the contract comes to an end, then I have to look for another opportunity, you see. I have to look for another opportunity to grow again. There's no opportunity, so I have no job. Then all of a sudden, it's like this sort of wind of change that comes into your life. I think I got into the worst form of depression that I wasn't able to share with anyone. That is only someone who could realize this man is going through some bad shit. But men, we keep a lot of things to ourselves. Before someone would come to approach you and talk to you about it, it's probably too late, and there's nothing you can do. I don't know, but with time, I would say that was the worst form of depression that you don't know about, but you're always angry all the time. You have no job, there's no food in the house, there's no way you're sending money at home. But you see, again at some point I felt like I didn't want to go back to that job because it wasn't, I didn't like the way of work that was there, but I guess I'm not different. I can't say that I'm all different, but again, that is the way of life. So fast forward, I'm getting a job here, the contract ends, I'm getting a job here, the contract ends, then the worst happens. I think some point 2019, the house got locked. And after the house got locked, I felt like now things have gone here, and I wasn't able to control anything. I just felt lost for a moment. So I think I spent a month outside the house, just sleeping in a church somewhere in Kawangware for like a month. I couldn't do anything. I was lost. I was terribly lost, The lights are back. I think I should turn on. You see? Okay. Yes. You see? Still a good camera operator. So the lights are back. But I hope it's going to rain. This is the first video I'm doing, so it has to rain. It has to rain. Money. Are we? Yeah. I think it should rain money because times are really tough. Times are really tough on everyone's pockets. So I hope. Okay, enough with the rain. So yeah, until I got another contract, did some 1 or 2, 3 works. I didn't like the job, I was there for the money. I didn't like the job, so they were not giving me enough, I don't know, enough space to grow, I'm not this kind of guy to do some stuff like in a straight, maybe just knowing that you have a contract that you're going to be doing the same kind of work that whole time. I think I quit the job after a week or so. By then I started concentrating on a lot of other activities on sanitation. So that is when I started getting some contracts, doing one or two, and then you know that has been my work education sort of life, ups and downs. Did I ever listen to anything on my phone? Yeah, I do listen a lot to podcasts from Spotify. I do listen to radio, but though nowadays not much. But Hot 96, yeah, at some point I was crazy fun. Sorry for that. I'm parching. Kiss 100, I mean Jalango and Kamene. Yeah, those are kind of stories that I listen to. You know, those short snippet videos that I post and I laugh. But then there's Gideon Ghost. I think I used to listen to those stories when I was going to work Langata Road. So Langata Road, mostly Langata Road, Magadi Road. So I would listen to their stories, especially if I get into a matatu and I hear that there's either Gideon Ghost or there's Maina and Kengangi. I make sure I listen to those stories and I make sure I laugh like Gideon. You can't laugh like Giddy. You can't laugh like Giddy. Yeah, those moments I listen to radio. At some point, I was a good fan of Ramogi Radio. It's like Ramogi Radio, cartoon Ramogi Radio. Imedo inja Ramogi Radio. Imedo inja Ramogi Radio. You know, it is a call for the Luo nation to go and listen to Ramogi Radio. Imedo inja Radio Ramogi. Duonda Joganyanam. It's like a call. Go to your radio, or if you're on that radio, do not dull. Let it work on. Let the magic that is gonna come from that radio. Let it serenade you. Let it remind you about your culture. Let it remind you about who you are. Let it remind you about where you're going as a part of the Luo nation. I didn't mention, but I'm from Nyakach. Nyakach is divided into lower and upper, so I'm literally from lower Nyakach. I don't have a good view of the Lake Victoria, but maybe if I go to the plateau, Nyabondo, that I'm able to have a good view of Nyakach. Or maybe my grandmother's place, I could have the best view of Lake Victoria. I love watching news. But again, I love listening maybe to BBC Radio because they have this sort of presentation that you feel really it's embound in you. You know, it's like the Swahili, BBC Swahili. I mean, great presenters they have. But maybe one day I'll be on radio. One day. You don't watch this space, but you listen to this space. This space is saying one day, and maybe not so long, this is a manifesting a radio